from Somalia after the signing of agreement together with Turkey, and I just want us to have a conversation around the backlog in our courts and how that is affecting business across the country. And to have these with me is a gentleman who is well known on issues around business, international obligations, and also the judiciary and the backlogs that do exist. Welcome on studio, sir. And as we start this conversation, just tell us who you are, and also with regard to the backlogs that we have right now, how that is affecting business in this country.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. So my name is Desmond Dambo. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I'm also a member of the ICC Kenya chapter. ICC is the International Chamber of Commerce Kenya chapter. And part of that ICC Kenya chapter, there's a ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution Commission, of which I'm a member of. In regards to your question about the backlog of cases in the judiciary, just to paint the picture, as per the last report released by the Honorable Chief Justice Martha Koome, there were about 500,000 cases pending at the magistrates' courts. Last year alone, about 100,000 new cases, were filed. And you find about 30% of those cases are more than 3 years old. So you're looking at resolving a commercial dispute takes about an average of 3 years. Mm-hmm. In some situations, it could take less. Mm-hmm. Now, if you were to put that into monetary terms, a single case, for instance, in the magistrate's court could be anything up to 20 million. At the High Court, it could be, in the millions and hundreds of millions. So you're looking at billions of shillings, being held up that has not yet been released into the economy. So it has a serious impact in terms of businesses, because in any commercial transaction, it is inevitable that a dispute could arise as to the rights of the parties.
And now, Desmond, as we talk about the backlog of cases in our judiciary system, now, for a very long time, there has been a conversation around the ease of doing business and environment that is good enough for businesses. We are inviting international partners and even just local investors to be able to invest. Now, with all these backlogs that do exist, how does that affect, if anyone would, if a would-be investor wants to invest in the Republic, and all the statistics that do exist about the backlog of cases?
Yes, so it is not very appealing to a would-be investor, because for an investor, one of the things that they look at is how a dispute resolved in this particular jurisdiction where I'm going to invest, and how fast can it be resolved, and what is the certainty? Is there a commercial certainty that will the terms of the contract, for instance, be upheld? So those are things that are critical, especially to large investments. They have to look at the climate, the justice climate, and see whether it is favorable for their investment. So it is something that we have to look at into keenly if we are to attract the level of investment that we want to see as a nation, and if we are to achieve the Vision 2030 goals that we have to become a middle-income country. So certainly it's a conversation that we must have. How can we unlock this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Desmond, as we speak right now, there are two very important events that are happening in this country. We have the AmCham Summit that is happening, as well as the Connected Africa Summit that is also in Nairobi as we speak. Now, both these events are keen in attracting investors into the country, discussing about businesses, the ease of doing businesses, policies in place. But there seems to be these existing problems. It's not only just on businesses, but even on other matters. Still there exists a backlog. Now, you as a gentleman who sits with the International Chamber of Commerce, What's your responsibility, say, with the Kenya Chamber of Commerce, together with other bodies, in just ensuring the policies in place, that the disputes in court are actually handled in a record time so that economy and businesses get to do better?
Yes. So as the ICC Kenya chapter, the responsibility that we have is to really look at ways that we can promote alternative avenues for resolving commercial disputes. And one of the things that ICC Kenya has done is, for instance, to adopt the ICC Chamber of Commerce rules, which has its origin in Paris, for resolving of disputes. So it is to get the business community together, starting with the members of ICC Kenya chapter first, but even the wider business community, to get them together and to make them be aware that there are alternative ways of resolving their dispute. So instead of, lining up at the courts to resolve their commercial disputes, there are institutes such as the ICC Kenya that can appoint an arbitrator, to hear their dispute. So that is one of the ways that we see that we can help move the needle in terms of the speed at which commercial disputes are resolved.
And Chief Justice has been a major proponent of alternative dispute resolution. She's championing and pushing that message out there. So in terms of ADR being an avenue that can be embraced by all, because there are those who still believe that for me to be able to get the results that I need, I have to go through the court system, regardless of the backlog that do exist and the challenges that do exist. Therefore, as we are trying to send the message that there is an alternative, we have the ADR system that equally gives you the results that you would get in court. How do we make sure that businesses and Kenyans per se approach and appreciate these alternative dispute resolution mechanisms?
Yeah, so it begins with just creating awareness, and that is what even the conferences that we are having is aiming to do. So like, even for instance, the ICC Kenya is having a conference on the 29th to 31st of May, just to discuss about arbitration and other alternative ways of resolving disputes. And they have invited the business community to be part of this conversation. So it starts by creating awareness, and the Chief Justice has also been an ambassador of alternative dispute resolution, and she has phrased it as a multi-door approach. So there is one door, which is the courts, which will always be there, but there are other doors that you can explore, and the other doors are arbitration, another door is mediation, another door is alternative justice system, which is really about the traditional methods of resolving disputes, at the local level, at the chief level, for instance. So I think an awareness amongst the population that there are other ways and there are other forums for resolving their disputes is a starting point. Once that awareness has been created, then it becomes easier, because then they can now know what they need to do to approach these forums. Yes.
And one of the reasons why we have all these backlogs in the judiciary system pretty much has been in terms of capacity. So that also does exist there, because the litigations that are taken to court vis-a-vis the number of judges that we have to handle such disputes are low. Therefore, now what is the solution moving forward? Because we have the issue of capacity. We're trying to solve that through the alternative dispute resolutions, and how do we then balance this to make sure that we get results in a fast manner, so that we don't lose money? Because you mentioned billions of shillings that are just being stuck because of litigations in court. So how do we solve that problem?
Yes. So the only way to solve that problem, really, the human resource problem, is empowering many more people to have the capacity to resolve the disputes. So, like you rightly pointed out, in as much as the government is trying to hire more judges, through the Judicial Service Commission, the statistics at the moment is that there's only one judge for a population of one judge to every 270,000 people, one magistrate to every 87,000 people. So we need many more people to be empowered and to be upskilled to be able to resolve those disputes. And one of the things that, especially for the business community, is even empowering other professions. So it is not just lawyers, for instance, who can resolve a dispute. Even an accountant or a journalist like yourself can also take up a short course on arbitration and just learn, the rules of arbitration. And once you appreciate the rules of arbitration, you already have the knowledge of your industry. So when there's a dispute in your industry, it is easy for you to be able to determine, which is the right way, or which is the right decision in this particular matter. So in that way, we are able to involve the private sector, in providing that critical human resource, and also when it comes to at the local level. At the local level, we have our traditional systems of resolving disputes. There are some disputes which, would of course never land in court. So they have their way of resolving it. They go to the village elder or they go to the chief. So I am aware that there are initiatives of, empowering the chiefs and training them on skills such as mediations, so that they can be able to bring two parties together and assist them in coming up with a settlement. So I think that would be the approach. It's something that it has to be a concerted effort. With the limited resources that we have, with the ballooning wage bill that we have, the solution cannot be to hire more judges. We just have to empower more people to be able to do what the judges can do, and then we leave the more complicated cases for the judiciary.
Yes, and we shall be coming back to that conversation. But now, President William Ruto is at the Bunge Towers as he is commissioning that building. Let's just cross over there and